Hello everyone. In this video, we will understand what is stress, what is its unit, and what are its types. So basically, the stress is defined as internal resistance force per unit area. As you can see in this diagram, this is a prismatic bar over which a load P is acting in the outward direction at the both sides. Now, due to tensile force, an internal resistance force will be generated about the section XX, and its magnitude will be somewhat equals to the applied load. And this internal resistance force, that is R equals to P, when divided by the cross-sectional area, gives the value of stress. Basically, the unit of stress is can be calculated as P by using this formula P upon A, where P, you know, it is load and A is the cross-sectional area. And we know that the unit of P is Newton and the unit of A can be square meter. These are the SI units, right? So we will get the unit of sigma as Newton upon meter square meter. This Newton upon square meter is equals to 1 Pascal. This means 1 Pascal equals to 1 Newton per square meter. Basically, this Pascal unit is very small. Generally, in numerical, you will find that unit of stress will be given in kilopascal or megapascal. You must know that 1 kilopascal equals to 10 raised to power 3 Newton per square meter, and 1 megapascal equals to 10 raised to power 6 Pascal. Or you can also you must also know that 1 gigapascal equals to 10 is to power 9 Pascal. These data is very important for solving the numerical problem. Right? Now let's move to the types of stresses. Now stresses can be of two types. Generally stresses can be of two types, that is normal stress and the shear stress. Now if you are talking about the normal stress means the stresses that are acting perpendicular to the surface. Whereas the shear stress stands for, whereas shear stress means the stresses which are acting parallel to the surface. Now, normal stress can be of two types, that is tensile stress as well as compressive stress. Now, first discuss about the normal stress. As I have already told that normal stress acts perpendicular to the surface or area, right? So the formula is resisting force divided by cross-sectional area, that is R upon A, or you can say it is P upon A. And normal stress is denoted by the symbol sigma. This is sigma, right? Now, normal stress can be of two types, that is tensile. It can be of tensile nature, it can be of compressive nature. And when we are talking about the tensile nature, then we have to focus on the direction of the load applied. You can see in this diagram the direction of the load applied is in the outward direction, right? So the stress that will be developed in the material will be of tensile nature. But in the reverse case, if the direction will be inward, the direction will be inward, then the stress will be of compressive. Now there are some points that are mentioned that we need to mention over here. Due to tensile stress, there is increase in length of the body and decrease in the cross-sectional area of the body, right? So whenever you elongate any object, then the length of that object will definitely will increase, and the cross-sectional area will decrease, right? If the stress is of compressive nature, then reverse will happen. The length will decrease and cross-sectional area will increase. Similarly, we can we can see here that due to compressive stress, there is decrease in the length and increase in the cross-sectional area of the body. Right? Now, next point, tensile stress is a type of normal stress, so it acts at 90 degree to the area. This is again same for compressive stress also. Now, the strain which is induced due to tensile stress is known as tensile strain. Strain we will talk later on, but basically you can consider it as strain is deformation per unit original length. Or in case of length, in case of longitudinal strain, we can say it is deform change in length per unit original length. Right. So, but in case of compressive, you can say the strain which is induced due to compressive stress is known as compressive strain. Right. So now next talk about the shear stress. So shear stress, as I have already told you, that shear stress acts parallel to the surface. Now you can see here, this is two blocks, two metallic plates, which is jointed by a rivet joint. This is a rivet joint. The red color joint is rivet joint. And you are applying a load P in this direction. Now you can see in the next diagram, the failure in the rivet, if occur, will be somewhat like this. And you can see the stress which is generated parallel to the surface, parallel to the cross section of the surface, is denoted by alphabet, by a symbol tau, that is shear stress. Right. So the strain that is produced by shear stress is known as shear strain. And as I've already told you, the shear strain is denoted by a symbol tau. The formula is again same. The shear stress is equals to shear resistance, that is resisting force, divided by shear area. In this diagram, this will be the shear area. The cross section area of this rivet will be the shear area. Now, shear stress is responsible for the change in the shape of body if it does not affect the volume of body. Right, so it is responsible for changing the shape of the body. Right, so I think the concept of stress is well clear to you. Now let's solve uh, a small numerical problem that was asked in your GATE examination 2003. Right, so let's understand this problem. A bar of varying cross-sectional area is loaded by asymmetrically as shown in the figure. This is your diagram. This is your figure. Loads shown are placed on one of the axes of the symmetry of cross-section, ignoring the self-weight. This means these two bars are not having any weight. We have to ignore this weight. The maximum tensile stress in Newton per square millimeter anywhere is, right? So the stress unit is given, it is Newton per square millimeter. This means you have to calculate the value of maximum tensile stress in Newton per square millimeter. Right. Now in this diagram you can see there are two bars. This is your lower bar, this one, and this is your upper bar. And you can see that the upper bar is fixed at the upper end. And on the lower bar there is a load of 50 kN in the downward direction. And at the intermediate section there is a load of 100 kN and 100 kN. This means total load of 200 kN. Right. Now if we will talk about the lower bar, now you can say on this surface there is a load of 50 kN only. Right. So if the applied load is 50 kN, this means the resisting force will be of same nature, will be of same magnitude, that will be of 50 kN, because you know at the upper end the bars are fixed. This means the resisting load will be of 50 kN. Right. Now similarly, at the intermediate section, you can say that the value of load is 100 plus 100, 200 plus this 50. Total load is 150, 250. Sorry, 100 plus 100 plus 50. This means the resisting load, the resisting force that will be developed in this bigger bar, in this upper bar, will be of 250 kilonewton magnitude. Right. So we know that here in this diagram the load is 50 kilonewton, and here in the upper bar it is 250 kilonewton. Right. And we know the formula that stress is basically what? It is internal resisting force per unit area. And we know For the lower bar, the value of value of load is 50 kilonewton, and because we want to calculate the value of tensile stresses in Newton per square millimeter, this means we can write it as 50 into 10 raised to power 3. This is your load divided by the cross sectional area, that is 50 into 50. This is square cross section, 50 and 50, because the cross section is of square shape, right? So the cross sectional area is 50 into 50, and when you will solve it out, you will get 20 Newton per square millimeter, right? So you have calculated the value of stress in lower bar. Now similarly, you want to calculate the value of stress in upper bar, right? So for finding the value of stress in upper bar, you must know the value of load acting on this bar, and you know the net load will be equals to summation of 100 plus 100 and 50. This means you will get 250 over here, right? And you know the cross sectional area is how much? Cross sectional area is 100 into 100. This means you will get the net shear force for the upper bar as 25 Newton per square. Now you can easily compare that the maximum value of shear stress, possible shear stress, is 25 Newton per square millimeter, and that happens to upper bar. This means the option C is the correct option for this, right? So